Sanctuary of Light and the Light Institute welcome each and all of you to this time of knowings and invite you to bring forward the conversations of your hearts so that we can share them with the whole world. So this is very informal. Please just speak out whatever you would like.
I have just finished your book, Soul Bodies, and I'm going to be doing that set of sessions this coming week. And I was interested to note in there where you talk about the fact that all human beings are born with a dormant interface that allows us to interconnect with higher dimensions and relative planes of being,
Yes.
and that needs only to be activated. So I wondered if you could speak more about what you describe as the halo and how the individual goes about activating.
That's really starting at the top here tonight.
That's what I
Well,
needed
you
to
know, yes, it's such a wonderful conversation because most of us, from the Judeo-Christic and even the Islamic, really, perspective, have the reference point of angels as higher beings than ourselves, and yet somehow around us, or if we're good, maybe protect us or communicate with us. And so my higher self has shown me that we all have angelic DNA. And I have spoken about it a lot, and we have this set of sessions whereby you have the opportunity to look at what I would call seas of beings, not necessarily lifetimes, because the angelic timetable is not birth and death. They don't experience those kinds of things because they don't come into physical form. But they do have pulses of energy amongst themselves, and they are cousin species to us. They have DNA, and we have their DNA within our patternings as well. And so as I was writing that book, I was wondering, how could I disengage us from that separation that says, oh, here are the angels, and here we are, that we're less than, that we have more karma, that we cannot ever hope to live in a reality with those lofty energetics. And so my higher self said, this is the way to show the two-leggeds, the humans, how to connect with that, which is to recognize that the halo is a physiological, meaning it's connected to the physiological body of light, to our human forms, as well as angelic energetics that has to do with the electromagnetic field that comes out of the body. With angels, it's more of a light body, but we have that reference as well. And that we can actually learn to create the halo. When we focus our consciousness on creating a halo, all of the separation, all of the guilt that we carry, all of that chatter dissolves away, and it quickens the frequency so that we actually move with that energy. And as I spoke of in that book, Soul Bodies, I have given that to hundreds and hundreds of people who have practiced making that halo and then wandering around in the public with it, and have had profound experiences of people saying, are you real? Are you an angel? And people beginning to cry because they feel that energy. So rather than beating our breasts and saying, oh, I would that I could have unconditional love, that I could live on this frequency, the moment that you create that halo, you are quickened so that you begin to exude that. When we do that, we will come to a level of what I talk about in that book, freeing the angels. The angels need to be released from their karma that they have with human beings through the Lucifer event, because they're entrapped in the highest astral of our earth, which we call heaven, and they are not able to evolve. They are not evolving as they might because of these contracts. In the same way when someone dies and their spirit is entrapped because we don't want to let them go, we have that same thing going on. As we begin to take on angelic energies, we can free the angels. As we free the angels, in other words, you don't have to be my guardian, you don't have to protect me, etc., etc., automatically, as we send our consciousness to release them into the higher octaves, the cosmic energies, we ourselves will, without attempting anything, access that angelic DNA, and it will come full bloom. And it's beginning to. I look around and I see many angels today on the planet. Typically, as I said in that book, babies being born will come in with the angelic ray or the angelic DNA in activation. They have these round little cherub faces. They have tiny little auric fields that just puff pink light, which is the color of love, unconditional love. And then they will go into a devic. As they progress, they'll go into the devic level, which is connecting to the earth spirits, to the fairies, to the rocks, to the devic kingdom, mineral and plant and animal kingdoms. And then as we go on, typically later, sometimes in teenage years, we classically move into the galactic DNA, which is a more expanded cosmic energetic that comes to us. So it's a little bit long to teach you in this moment how to create that halo, but I spoke about it in the book. It's very simple. It's very simple to do, and if you practice it, and certainly practice it when you're about to go out, when you're going to go out and work, or you're going to go out and shop, or you're going to go out into the world, because as you focus on carrying this halo, this haloic energy with you, it will alter the frequencies of the people around you. And so it is just as it was painted. Now there are several kinds of halos. You know, some of them are all white halos. Some of them look like the Statue of Liberty with sparks coming out of them. Some of them are just a golden color around here. So there are many different frequencies and kinds as they come in from the golden chakra, as they come in and interface with your own electromagnetic field. They can be altered in different times depending upon your energy. When I come to knowings, I always put my halo on. So maybe by the time that this class is over, you'll have a sense of it. It's so wonderful to feel that it belongs to you. All you have to do is say, I'm wearing my halo, and carry it with you, and see how it allows your heart to open, allows you to bring yourself into a place of peace, allows you to pierce the heart and to see all that angelic DNA in everyone around you.
I have seen your halo in knowings class, and I don't normally see energy. I sense energy, but I don't normally see it.
Yes. Well, I can see yours
that.
too. And that's so beautiful, because then we hold each other in that way. And speaking of juicy, there's nothing more juicy than light and delicious, loving energies that flow into us and through us and from us. You know? So thank you. What else?
The sessions that Bruce was just talking about, I did those not too long ago, and they're so powerful. And I've done the DNA sessions equally as powerful, if not more so. And I noticed that after I do a really intense set of sessions, that I have the feeling of, and I've told you about this, jumping out of an airplane without a parachute, without clothes, and without skin. It's just there's
Lucky you.
it is, but there's nothing as familiar. And my question to you is that there's a language program that I've been working with, and it has been scientifically proven that the approach that takes creates new channels in the brain. And when I'm doing a lot of that, I have that same particular feeling of nothing is familiar, everything is, that same feeling of jumping out of an airplane. So my question to you is, Chris, with your work, what is your work actually doing to our brains? I know it's working on an emotional body, but what's it doing to the brain?
Oh, that's such a long conversation. But And I'm smiling, of course, because I'm starting a book called The Potential Brain is the title of it, and it's really about that theme, which is that one of the things that we do not understand scientifically, but we acknowledge, is that we do not know where imagination comes from. We don't know the pathways in the brain. We don't know how imagination creates visual context or auditory or all of those 70 senses that we have. But when we imagine something, when we enter into a new world because of something that triggers a shift in our consciousness, it does indeed come full circle for the hologram and activate new neurotransmitting energies that do create new pathways in the brain. And what's happening there is, that's a description, we could say, of enlightenment. That we can see the hologram, that we can see cause and effect, that we can perceive, not with 5 senses, not with 6 senses, but with more than 70 senses, energetics of life and potential around us. And we can begin, as we inaugurate those new brain pathways, to live a different life. So this is why it is so important to stimulate the mind, to stimulate, as you're doing with the language, to stimulate anything that's moving around in, especially the frontal lobe, which is our place of, feeling and thought, above all thought, so that we can create new experiences all in one lifetime. We have this very, I would say, small perspective that time is on a continuum. It isn't true in the cosmos. There's an arc of time. And so, but as we begin to imagine or to experience things that we have not had before, and then we establish points of reference, our illumination expands. And through a point of reference, which I would call a spin point. A spin point may be a point of reference where suddenly we feel something from the cosmos moving through us, or going the other direction, a spin point within our bodies that takes us out into the cosmos, allows us to live with a center, not that sense of grounding. I need repetition, I need habitual behavior. I think that we suffer in our bodies because we have the illusion that genes are just habitual patternings, and they are, but we can shift that. So when we meditate, when we allow our imagination, which is something that has a point of reference in our emotional bodies that holds true for us, to come before our consciousness and to enter in there, we become different. And one of the things that we say at the Light Institute is that when you have any of the sessions that we have, when we look at the incarnations of the soul, you will never go back to where you were when you began. You can only go beyond. And this is what allows the brain to evolve. Imagine a computer and ourselves who created computers using 10% of our brain's capacity or potential. It is my intention to begin to very graphically, to very visually, etc., give us points of reference, spin points, if you will, that will allow us to begin to activate a bigger percentage of the brain. As that occurs, we will have intuitive capacities. We will have bilocation capacities, because location is just something that we have in a part of our brain that could be shifted. With a little consciousness, we could shift it so that all that humans have experienced could be available to us. Imagine being able to bilocate for the good of all humanity, not for survival, but as a gift of amplifying consciousness and support and solutions. So yes, when you are doing sessions and you are seeing and perceiving and hearing and smelling and using all of these senses and activating them, you are creating new neural pathways that are allowing things that might be beyond the third dimension to become true for you. and as they become true for you, and this is the beauty of our work, is that we pull away the veil so that we can see the incarnations of the soul, and at the same time we dissolve those incarnations of the soul, so that the energy impacts our brain and all of our nerve centers. And beyond our nervous system, our third dimensional nervous system, are the 72,000 nadis, which are energetics that are involved in our astral bodies, our emotional bodies, our light bodies, our spiritual bodies. So that, again, the hologram of what we can pluck or mix into our pot of reality becomes tremendously expanded. So each time that, again, you have an experience that allows you, with your senses, with this vehicle, with your body, to perceive other dimensions or other time zones or male bodies or other kinds of bodies and female bodies, you are amplifying your brain's capacity. We created computers. We have potential beyond what we have created. Just think how fast computers are and how holographic they are. And here we are dallying around at 10%. Now, it's time for us. And that's the beauty of being able to see beyond the veil the incarnations of the soul. And by that, for those of you that are listening, what I'm talking about is going beyond a lifetime, one lifetime, and being able to experience the realities, the thought forms, the emotional repertoire, the physicality through many bodies. It's not so hard to recognize if you consider something that we talk about a lot here, psychogenetics. Think about your great-great-great-grandparents. What were their bodies like? What were their realities? How did they perceive death? How did they connect with nature? You have inherited their stories. You have. Through your genetic encoding, through your psychogenetic encoding. And so just realizing that you have that in you, and then consider what your soul is offering to you. The infinite incarnations of the soul. So we have a lot of raw material in the manifest world and in the unmanifest world. And that's what we are doing here at the Light Institute with the brain, going back and forth between that which is invisible or unmanifest into that which is manifest, and creating those linking up synapses that are beyond just neural synapses that will allow us to feel that. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about bilocation or expanded consciousness or illumination. That capacity to move back and forth, always with the point of reference of self. Self is important. It's just that we haven't learned how to embrace with ourselves the infinite cosmos. So, thank you. Yes?
Would you talk to us about the value of pets in our lives?
Oh, yes. I can tell you all about what is so exquisite as we are talking here about our capacity to connect as we go through these stages in life. Let's say our Divic kingdom, which includes connection to animals. And that so often, as I've said many times, more than 90% of us at the moment of birth say no. Oh, I don't want to do this. And we move through our lives with fear of other two labels, with fear of each other, with distrust, with profound anxiety. So the gift of pets is unconditional love. Someone who actually cares about us, who isn't interested in our degrees, in the money that we have, in the brilliance of our minds, but is interested simply in our presence. And one of the great teachings in this world today is to not try to get out of our physical form, but to get into our physical form in its actual potential. And so being with pets, we know, for example, helps people to actually live longer. Every elder person should have an animal, whether it's a fish, or it's a plant, or it's some other kind of pet, because they stimulate a sense of relationship. That's the gift of pets. All humans, we are group animals. We need that kind of connection. We don't want to be alone. We feel too alone. So a pet can be someone who understands us. Animals know when you're coming home at night, when you get in your car, when you're 20 miles away, they know that you're coming. A horse knows when you have fear. Animals understand us through our psychic energies. And we are just now evolving again at this time on the planet to recognize that these psychic, intuitive energetics describe who we are. So a pet can bring you peace. It can help you to unburden yourself emotionally. They will take the burden for you. I have had several dogs actually die for me when the energies were very intense and very attacking, again because of the discrepancies of routine and potential. And I've had several dogs be shot or have some meet their death, and there's no question, because, and here's something that all pet owners will tell you: pets have souls. They have souls and they have spirits, and they have incarnations as well as do we, and they will come again and they will fulfill their contracts. So I think pets are very, very important. They're not about protection. So often people have a vicious dog for protection. You know, we have to release ourselves from those illusions on the planet at this time. Our lives are not about protecting ourselves or survival, but our lives are about opening up, and that's what pets do. I find it very humorous that we talk to pets as if they were children. We baby talk them. We get these little tones of voice. Even I, knowing better, do it. But it is also the part of us that's sort of that sweet love. That love that's not trying to be intellectual, that's not trying to be smart, but that's just oozing, talk about juicy, just oozing out of us. We do that with children, we do that with pets. And it accesses that amplification of connecting from, again, just our presence. Nothing else is needed, you know. And so I feel that pets are important, but I also feel it's important for us. 2 points there. One is to recognize that pets are not stupid, that they are brilliant, that they understand when it's going to snow. Even the ants get that, you know, when there's going to be a tsunami. And we can learn a lot by learning to communicate telepathically with them and listen to what they have to tell us. It's quite amazing when we begin to open up that kind of a dance between ourselves and them. So in other words, honoring them and seeing them with the gift that they bring. A dog has certain qualities, a horse has certain qualities, a fish has certain qualities that can teach us about our world around us. And I forgot the second part. It'll come to me. Again, we don't own our pets. Typically they own us. They choose us. They knew this in times past when they used cats and dogs and lions and other animals to protect their temples, protect their blood. And they had that conscious telepathic connection. We need to develop that now. The other part will come. Pets are good.
And they can be delicious if you cook them right. Oh, sorry.
That is
Can we
true.
continue on the animals a little bit and talk about when animals come to you as kind of like helpers, as children helpers, and show you things out in nature?
Yes. Well, one of the wonderful things about many animals is they force us outside. They have to be walked, or you know, they have to be exercised, or they have to be given something. And so it creates with us a channel of relationship into the Diva kingdom, into the natural world. And this is very important for humans because we've lost that connection. A child that's disturbed, living in an apartment in a big city, can be brought into balance through an animal, through that connection that allows them to not have to justify or to be good or to be bad, but to just be present with them. And so animals understand that, and it's amazing to me to watch when, for example, animals are trained to be helpers for people that are have disabilities, for example, or older people. It's just exquisite to watch how they pick up all the signals, the body language, the smells, all of that, and can just align in such a way that it eases the heart. We know that people's blood pressure diminishes in the presence of animals, that they live longer because it gets them out of what's wrong with me to I better take care of my animal. It's very important as we come to our deaths, whether we're young or we're old, when we come to our deaths, to be able to extend our consciousness out and look around at those around us. How can I love you better? How can I give to you? And so animals provide the link, the capacity to do that.
About time, you spoke about the continuities and
Yes.
say that it's an arc.
Yes, I know. It's so difficult for us because we remember that we were children. That was in the past. I started doing incarnational work, past life, when I was 15, which is, I forget, 50-something years ago. 58 years ago, somewhere around there. It's a long time. And what I immediately understood was that the past is living in the presence and creating the future. So there's an arc of time. It isn't in a pulse like this. It's more like drop the rock into the pond and it ripples out in every direction. And so we can retrieve and shift the past through our consciousness. And we can penetrate the potential of the future. And they converge in this arc of time in the present. And we're beginning to learn that. Chinese medicine says everything is connected to everything. If everything's connected to everything, then it's beyond light. It's faster than light. And I had the good fortune of touching base with a brilliant teacher at Stanford who talked about negative space-time. Energies beyond the speed of light, faster than light. And certainly there are many speeds faster than visible light that we see. We only see a few shades of white, whereas there's radiation, for example. And we can learn to perceive it. And that speeds us up. Radiation today is destructive because it destroys the membrane of the cell. And the membrane of our cell are the receivers. The receptor cells that say, oh yes, I'm alive and I'll take nourishment over here and I'm aware of that over there. And so we have to quicken so that we can use radiance to evolve our consciousness, our brains, our bodies. And so, for example, if we were just doing exercises in consciousness in your life today, we would use a theme. Let's say you have a theme of security, feeling secure. And so we would go back just into this lifetime, into your childhood, and look at moments when you were secure, or moments that when you were insecure. And you would see that the thought forms or conclusions that came to you, and when you had an experience that made you insecure, are pulsing in you now and blocking you from evolving, because that little voice is saying, no, don't do that, be careful, be careful, be careful. And so we have to dissolve those points of reference. And as we dissolve those points of reference, we dissolve time. We free ourselves from time. And if you can imagine that there is no Alpha and Omega, there is no just a big blast and that was the beginning, and the universe spreads out forever, it's way beyond those kinds of concepts. And so when you think of the incarnations of the soul's eternal, and it comes into body again and again, you begin to experience that you have a point of reference of what we call time zones, or beyond time, or energetics that collapse time. For example, one of the experiences that I have had that is a mystery but is magnificent is that if your consciousness comes to the end of our universe, there is an enfolding that enfolds so that another universe you become aware of, a next universe. And so our lives are like that, our incarnations are like that. There's an enfolding, an imploding of points of reference that then alter potential. And as we understand that, we can see how time is completely different. It's links with space. There's this dance that occurs. But you can access any of these points of reference. So all of the sci-fi about, time travelers will come into view in the near future. It's something that we really are doing without thinking about it when we look at the incarnations that we have. We are accessing points of reference that we think of as time. And we see the crystallizations that surround them. And that's what a vortex is. It's an energy pattern. If you think of our galaxy, there's this spiraling energy that holds it together, or a black hole. There's a magnetism. Magnetism is real. And magnetism attracts and dissolves the crystallization of time. And so we can access that. And it allows us to shift our bodies, to shift our consciousness. And as we begin to use our brains, and by the way, the brain is just the center, because every cell in your body has mind. So every cell is a threshold into all of the potential, all of the experiences, manifest and unmanifest. That's why we come into body, because the unmanifest will always use this pulse of manifestation to push itself or implode it in such a way that evolution occurs. So evolution occurs by dissolution and construction.
I have a question, but maybe it is too earthy. Maybe
Oh, nothing's too earthy. My whole life is about get into your body. So,
But
go ahead.
Two hours ago, I even didn't know I would be here, and through my friend, I was somehow brought maybe by life in this arch of time, which
Yes.
is incredible, and he, not that he was brought by her friend,
Yes.
but and I'm here really for the purpose because I just had like the emotional breakdown, and it is because of my work, and my work just took my life.
It took your life?
It just like, it just took over, and
Yes.
it just affected me emotionally, and I become not myself, and I
Yes.
don't want to, because I'm losing the core
Yes.
of
Well,
me.
Yes.
So I am trying to really find the solution to the situation. So I don't
But
know.
let me be so bold as to say it's a very simple solution. And I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I think this is what's happening to many, many people. Is that we have reached a point where we've extended out so much. How am I socialized? How do I become loved by my parents, by my teachers, by my friends? We become so external that our sense of self is completely enwrapped in whatever you do.
Yes.
That doing. And so you identify your life through that. And so you already spoke the answer yourself. You just didn't realize it when you said too earthy. How you let go of the part of you that becomes too mental or too angry or too young or whatever it happens to you when you're doing your work is to come back into other parts of yourself which are sitting in there hiding behind this part that comes out and barks around You know, that part of you that isn't you, that's you in work, is the survival part of you. It's the part that says, I won't survive unless I win the argument, unless I'm successful, unless I'm visible, unless I'm seen in this way. And so all that's happened is it's a little imbalanced. You know, you have this situation. So what you want to do is that you want to begin to bring your consciousness back into your true self. For example, and we'll do this little exercise right now. We could ask our bodies to take us into a memory in this lifetime when you were so loving, when you were completely relaxed, when you admired yourself. Just for your presence, not because you could paint well or because you could do something well, but just because you were there, because of your presence. Because when you touch that memory, talking about the arc of time, when you touch that memory, it will begin to vibrate inside you. And so then it will fill up and nourish your cells, and it will begin to send out a little energy through your auric field, through your electromagnetic field into the world, and people will look at you and say, what a lovely being. And they won't know anything about the other part. And so you can, in that moment, in the moment that you touch that energy of you, being someone whom you really admired yourself because of your presence, you have reinvented who you are. And so it's just a matter of focusing in those ways. You could do it very simply by saying, what color do I need to be my true self? Or where is my center at this moment? They're simple exercises in consciousness, but they will shift you out of that other part. So let's do this memory exercise for all of you as well, because it really reminds us of who we are. So close your eyes, take a deep breath into your body, and now ask your body to take you into a memory or an experience in this lifetime in which you had a wonderful sense of self, a sense of presence. You felt relaxed, you felt joyful, you felt abundant, you liked who you were. It might have been when you were a child, it might have been this morning. Just take a deep breath and let a memory flash when you had that happiness, that presence. Just let it come forward. Whatever memory comes into your consciousness, you might see the memory or feel it or hear it. Focus in on that memory as if you could move into the scene at this moment and notice who's there, where are you? Are you outside? Are you inside? Are you small? Are you an adult? Just let that feeling move into you. And ask your body, where am I holding this memory? It's crystallized in you. It's a point of reference. Where is it in your body? Just take the first thing that comes into your consciousness. Is it in your heart? Is it in your head? Is it in your hands? Is it in your knees? Where is it? And wherever you perceive intuitively that you're holding this memory, bring your consciousness into this place and break open the memory, so that that energy of happiness, of peacefulness, of pleasure at who you are can flow through you. Just feel as if all of the trillions of cells of your body are being nourished by that energy. And as you do, let the memory go, so that that energy isn't tethered to that memory. It's in you. As you feel that vibration, that pleasure, it takes you out of time, takes you out of all the external conversation, flows through your body. Take a deep breath and imagine that you could extend that vibration. This is who I am, like a message out into the world. This is who I am. Extend it out into the world. Take a deep breath and open your eyes. So who we are is just where we place our consciousness. See, you already look really different.
Yes, because I'm free.
That's right. And your whole face is softened, you know? There's a lovely energy that's coming from you now.
I believe it.
Yes, yes. So don't ever think that you are entrapped in something you've crystallized, you know, that you have to be this way in your business world. You don't. And, you know, in most cultures we have that concept that if you surrender, that you're weak. If you speak softly, that you must not be strong. If you're a female, that you must not be able to be the head of the world. All of that is untrue. It's just a primordial part that surfaced at the time that we lived in tribes, when physicality said who was right and who was powerful. And so you really want to know that you could be yourself, and at the same time, you could wield the world. Thank you for bringing that up. That's wonderful. What else? Yes?
So how can we liberate our full potential in this lifetime?
The most important thing is to not think of your potential as something that's out into the future, that you have to go to school for, that you have to behave, that you have to meditate for, that you have to become somehow in order to be worthy of that potential. You held your potential within your genetic encoding at the moment of your conception, when your soul said, these are my choices. This is my blueprint for this lifetime. Maybe I will learn compassion. Maybe I will learn visibility. How many things may I learn? Those energies or that potential was with you at conception, and you are free. We have been given the power of free choice, of free will, to choose how you learn those lessons and develop them and reinvent yourself moment by moment throughout our lives. And so think of that potential as what you're choosing now. This is why meditation is so important, and why the work that we do at the Light Institute is so important, because at any moment when you extend an energy, as we did earlier, to a situation on the planet or to a person on the planet, what color do you need from me to fulfill your potential at this moment? And you draw that in from the cosmos and you extend it to that person. You're fulfilling your potential. Your potential is not how the whole world applies you because of what you've done. It has nothing to do with what you've done. Having died 6 times, I've been given the great blessing of being free of potential. That's why I could do a book called Potential Brain, because it's not what you do. At the moment of your death, you will not be adding up the things that you did that made you worthy. You will not. And I have actually had the experience of having my life flash by me, looking at all the things I felt guilty about, is all the emotions, all of the experiences that I had, divine experiences. And so I promise you, you won't be thinking about what you did in your life. You'll be thinking about the grace with which you hold how wonderful your soul is and your spirit is, that you came into this world and that you touched lives and they touched you, and how you had that capacity, you know, to be the giver and to let go. So potential has as much to do with letting go of the crystallization of who and what you think you are, what society thinks you are, and all of the pure energies of the infinite incarnations of your soul that have taught you how to bring about something new. The purpose of life is the evolution of the soul. So the purpose, the potential, is to bring something new. People always talk about how life is just a school. It's an education. Well, what's new for you at this moment? What is your point of illumination? What is the thing you smell or that which causes you pleasure? Inside you and outside you. That's your potential. And if you could realize that, imagine, as I said in the Evolution of God book, that the divine source needs us to come into body, to have new experiences, so that there is an impetus for evolution. So every experience you have is a potential that shifts the entire cosmos. when we comprehend that, even a flicker of that, we can let go of that, you know, I've got to be bigger, I've got to do more important things, I've got to be seen better, I've got to perform a miracle. Well, you are the miracle. All you have to do is embrace it and have the gratitude of being embodied at this time. Whatever culture you chose, whatever DNA you chose, whatever place that you walk upon on this planet is the grace that offers you your potential. So potential is nothing more or less than the kind of consciousness that we place anywhere. Something terrible happens to you. How is this a gift for me? How can I use this? You know, that's our potential at every moment. It's not something we add up at the end someplace. And it's really important for us to talk about that because we've all been in suspended animation. We've all been sleeping through our lives. And so all the things that are going on right now to us, the stuff that's shifting us physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, is all occurring to give us that little cosmic boot to recognize beyond time, what can you be aware of at this moment? Because whatever you're aware of is what you're creating. And that's why time is an illusion. Because your focus on it is making it true. So what are we making true? And what do we need to shift and let go of that we think is true? Because so many of the things that we think are true, they're not. We're not starving. We're not poor. We're not sick. We're not helpless. We're not victims. We are magnificent, juicy beings who've had more courage than the angels to come into physical form and interact with what we perceive as a limitation. And that's only because we haven't learned that through our endocrine glands, that through the light in our bodies, we can touch beyond this universe and have it be relevant. We are not the dreamers asleep. We have to be the dreamers awake so that we can hold it in our consciousness in a level that makes it true. And how do we do that? Because people often say, I can feel illuminated for a moment and then it falls away. The way that we hold it is that we access all of those incarnations, all of the wisdom that we have accrued. We have all been gurus. We have all been enlightened beings. We have infinite places in the cosmos that have taught us. So all we have to do is hold that one flicker into the flame for a moment, and it will create the ripple. And then we let go, and we let go, and we let go. And as we let go, new potential and possibility comes to us, and we touch that. And then we touch the next, and we touch the next, and suddenly we realize that we are touching one point and seeing the hologram all at once. The very first thing I learned in healing was touch any place in the body, and it will access. Imagine the instantaneous, I touch my knee and my brain is saying, you touched your knee. Reflex that goes on there. So you can touch any place in your body and heal something someplace else. The same is true in our consciousness. We can focus our consciousness anywhere and create a ripple of cause and effect, of action and reaction from any other place. That brings us to an expanded reality, full of potential, because it's not crystallized. It's not locked into something. It's itself a spin point, accessing trillions of points of reference. That's what our brain is. That's what our body is. We don't have that when we're not in body. We have it here. And that is the power and the gift of choosing to be in body right now. So we really have to pay attention to, what do we care about? What do we care about? Care about the earth. Care about the pets. Care about the stars. Care about the brilliance of your body. All of which can be summed up in one word, gratitude. But not that self-righteous gratitude. I'm a good person because I'm grateful. But this kind of gratitude, this kind that goes, oh, it's wonderful. Because it is. And you can see it that way. All of us can look back in our lives and say, I thought that was such a disaster when the relationship ended, when I lost my job, when I moved to someplace else. Look back and you'll say, oh, thank heavens. Oh, what a blessed thing that occurred. Even though I went kicking and screaming into the change, I couldn't be who I am now if it hadn't been for that. All of us can do that. All I'm saying is speed that up a little. Speed it up. And we will feel the giggle. Because not even death can end that power. Or that intention. What else?
Well, you know, Chris, it was very freeing for me to find out that it's okay to be the bad guy.
Yes! Isn't it wonderful to be the bad guy? It's so
That
delicious.
was like, you know, in this lifetime I had such rigid upbringing, and I was like, oh my God, you know, everything is wrong, nothing is right, and oh, I deserve punishment, and this and that, and then coming here and doing the incarnational work, I started going, oh, the bad guy is okay.
Yes.
The bad guy is here to show us things.
That's right. And because you've been a bad guy, you can now be a brilliant being of light without having to push that away, dissolving it. And here's the thing that I would say. Whenever you've been a great lord of darkness, you accrued power to do it. Somewhere the universe gave you the power and permission to do that. And you did what you could with the consciousness that you have. And as we go through being the bad guy, we begin to see cause and effect. We begin to see, oh, because I never felt love, I thought it was perfectly fine to kill people. I'll take my place, I'm going to take what's yours, because I didn't get it. And eventually the I begins to expand and expand and expand. And so it is wonderful. It's totally freeing to be the bad guy and to really let go of that self-judgment. Because again, that's what really allows you to be the good guy. And to care about yourself without it being selfishness, but that it is part of the power of being embodied. If you don't take care of your physical body or your emotional body, you have nothing to give anybody else but the tough teachings. And yes, we do come in and hurt people to give them that lesson because they ask for it. But it isn't a great way to evolve. And we won't get through it. We won't get through it until we come to an octave that allows everything. There is nobody up there going, okay, you were the bad guy, down you go into the darkness. There's nobody up there doing that. That was purposely seeded into humanity to make them behave. Your cultures did it, your religions did it, your parents did it, your teachers did it. Take a deep breath and don't continue that pattern. Don't do it to the other guys. We don't need to. We have within our human genetic encoding all of the resources we need to be spectacular, to be compassionate, to be empathetic, to expand enough to bring the solutions that will help ourselves and everyone else without that. So thank you for bringing that up. I think it's incredible when you can get out there and slash and burn and rape and cheat and steal and then be done with it. And what happens when you see that, when you go through that experience is you're not attracted to it anymore.
Right.
You're just not attracted to it. My higher self says whatever you resist, that's what you get. So if you're resisting your own darkness or you're afraid of the darkness of someone else, you're going to attract that to you. And then you go, I'm the victim. It came to me. No. You attracted it. So get into yourself and say, I'm done. And it goes away. So thank you.
Thank you.
What else?
Earlier, I meant, you know, potential, like, I think a lot of us on the planet right now want to just really liberate all this love and light. So, you know,
Yes.
a lot of us just really want to love.
Yes. But to love, you have to trust.
Yeah.
You have to trust yourself. You have to be willing, as we were just talking about, to see that darkness and get through it. And the reason that we at the Light Institute pull the light energy from the cosmos down through the heart into the solar plexus area, which is the seat of the emotional body, because until the emotional body can access the spiritual body, it will hold the heart closed. It will not allow the heart to be open, because it will still be saying, I have to win, I have to survive. That's what the emotional body does, unless it's connected to its own source. When the emotional body and the spiritual body come together, then we can feel ecstasy. And that's when love comes, and it's not, I'm nice to you, I love you, so now give it back to me. The buying and selling that goes on there. But the emotional body can move up into these higher centers, not just the heart. The heart is the new center of humanity as these upper chakras open. The golden chakra of the angelic kingdom and the silver white chakra of the cosmos, as they're opening now, which they are, this heart chakra is becoming the center. But it cannot function unless this is open. And that's why we pull it down in here, so that our emotional body can be filled with ecstasy. It can be filled with joy. And have that capacity to release the separation. Separation will always bring the totem pole. Who's at the top and who's at the bottom? Rather than the fusion of this dance that we have. Each of us are individuated, and yet we are one being. And so we want to open our hearts. To be able to do that, we have to work on ourselves. And that work is illuminating, and it's funny, and it's wonderful, and it makes us more intelligent to be able to dissolve away all of the crystallizations that are in us, all of those things that say, I'll love you, but I need this back, you know, or now you owe me, or I'm the good guy because I love you, you know. But to actually carry yourself in the world, carry ourselves into the world with our halos, with that energy that is for ourselves. We know it. It doesn't matter if the world knows it. And that's what brings us peace, and it brings us the whole circle of life and death and evolution. Travel well.